She's a phenomenon, an icon, a legend. Ladies and gentlemen, Serena Williams.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious. You gonna write a good article or just halfway decent?
We got caught in 4K.
Absolutely magnificent from Carlos Alcaraz.
And thanks for taking a break, whether you took it to get a sip of water or if you just dived back in. Welcome to part 2 of our 2025 French Open review. We are so happy to have you back and so happy to be talking about both of these matches, Jay.
Honestly, this was the tournament of my life, I have to say. Is the mic on? Yeah, the mic is on. I've wanted these results since we really started watching tennis.
That's true. I just need to revel in my two favorites beating two players who are incredible in their own right at the same time at the same Grand Slam.
Yeah. Honestly, it feels like something that only happens once in your lifetime.
Yeah, girl.
The matches ended and I was like, I don't know if this will ever happen again. I am going to cherish this forever.
I know. Let's talk about it. Our women's final and our men's final. Who do we have for those who didn't catch it and somehow have avoided any press?
Alrighty. For the women's final, we had Sabalenka going against Coco Gauff. Arena Sabalenka, actually, first and last name, I won't be rude, in the women's final at the French Open today. And I just want to say, I want to go over who they beat in order to get there, because honestly, both of their runs were pretty incredible. So Sabalenka had to go through, and I won't list everybody because respectfully, not everybody's important. But in the fourth round, she beat Anisimova, who's a great player. Quarterfinal, she beat Zhang, who beat her in Rome. And so she was seeking vengeance for sure. She beat Zhang in straight sets. The semifinal was the match, the first match that everyone was looking forward to. Sabalenka versus Swiatek. Oh my gosh. It was a will she, won't she? Who's going to win this? Because this is a rivalry that is notorious already in tennis. And Iga's she just turned 24. And they've met each other in semifinals and finals on several occasions at this point. And so half the room was going for Sabalenka and the other half was going for the defending champion at Roland Garros, Iga. The results, kind of crazy. It was a 3-setter.
Yeah, it was a battle until it wasn't. That's how I'll put it.
Yeah, I mean no disrespect to Iga, but the scoring is as follows. The first set, Sabalenka took, but they had to do a tie break. So Sabalenka took the tie break 1-7. Second set, Iga took 4-6. That third set, honey, Iga was already in the locker room because it was 6-0. A bagel?
Girl, she thought she was in New York. A bagel.
A bagel. Now, I want to, because I am a mini tennis historian, I have to say this. It hurts me to say it, but it is true. It's factual. This is the first bagel in a semifinal at Roland Garros ever.
That is an interesting fact and stat. I've noticed so much poetry throughout this Grand Slam that something about that bagel going to Iga, who's won this 4 times, is poetic. Sorry, Iga. I love Iga. She's my Dua Lipa stan sister. But her being bageled in the last set, a bagel, that stings.
Yeah, I think it's just very indicative of her mental state at that point. And not to take anything away from Sabalenka. Sabalenka played her ass off in that semi.
Yeah, she played like that was the final.
Yeah, she was unbeatable in that thing. And then Iga, once you get into Iga's head, you don't get out. And I feel like this French Open, I hope that what Iga takes from it is the fact that the thing that she needs to work on the most is her mental. She does. She gets too mentally flustered and she doesn't know how to ever climb out of that.
Mm-hmm. You know what's so interesting? Because these are prime athletes. Like, these are people whose physical abilities are out of this world. But the thing about tennis is that your mental can make or break you regardless to how your opponent is playing.
For sure.
So, and it goes both ways. You can watch someone have a really terrible day mentally and lose. And then, as we've seen from both of these finals, you can watch someone have the best mental day of their life and like truly defy the odds and the previous stats in order to get the W.
It's true. It's very true.
So I honestly hope that Iga like takes some time to just like work on the mental because it's such an important part of the game. It's just as important as the physical.
Yeah, I would say honestly, mental is like half the game.
Yeah, I think it's truly a 50-50 split.
Yeah, and if you don't have that, you kind of don't have anything.
Or
Unless
at-
you're winning ugly, but
exactly. I was gonna say you don't have anything, or it just makes it a lot harder to get over the finish line.
a lot harder. And like, you know, all women's matches are 3 sets. That's all you have. That's pretty short. And so it's important to be able to recognize that, okay, mentally, I'm not really where I want to be for this match, but I still believe in myself. I still know who I am. I still know what I'm capable of. Once Iga gets that and she puts that in her pocket, she's good.
And I don't think she's far off from that. Honestly, between the two of them, I think actually Sabalenka is more far off than like really getting the mental down.
Yeah, Sabalenka's a crash out, respectfully.
So let's talk about it because boy, did she crash out in the finals.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the final, I want to talk about who Coco had to go through to get to the final.
Oh, yes. Bring us back to that.
So I'll start off. Second round and third round don't really matter, not very important. Fourth round, she plays Alexandrova, who is a player who can play when she's on. And so I was actually nervous about that matchup because sometimes Coco's really not really feeling it, you know what I mean? But Coco got the bagel in the first set, and then the second set was 5-7. So onward and upward. In the quarterfinals, she plays Keys. Keys just came off of winning the Australian Open. And so she's a weapon. I didn't really know how that one was going to go. And it was a 3-setter. I've only seen this match in clips because I was like, this is actually really stressful for me. Nobody wins when the family feuds, honestly. The score line was the first set, Keys took it. They played a tiebreak in that first set, 8-6 in the tiebreak. Second set, Coco takes. The score is 6-4. And in the third set, Coco also takes. That score is 6-1. Next up, after the Keys match, which is Coco's longest match, her only 3-setter that she's played at that point, she plays the crowd favorite, the French woman on the front of newspapers in France, Louise Boisson, who was a wild card entry into the French Open this year. She somehow, and honestly, shout out to her, she makes it all the way to the semifinal. And it's her and the crowd versus Coco. And what does Coco do? Step up because she beats Boisson 2 sets straight. And the score it's lopsided, 6-1, 6-2. And then that sets us up for the final versus Sabalenka.
Wow, thanks for painting that picture again. Because the 2 weeks are long and then they're short, so sometimes you do forget the details. But yeah, you're right. And you doing that rundown also reminded me that Coco and Sabalenka were coming into this final sort of like twin them, where like they only dropped 1 set. Sabalenka dropped that 1 set against Iga. Coco dropped that 1 set against Keys. But other than that, it was just 2-setters through and through. And Jay, talk about the crash out, girl.
Man, the on-court crash out was, I don't even know what to say about it. I think it started because of the conditions. Now,
Mhm.
I will say the women's final this year, windy. Not
As hell.
ideal, not ideal. Like it was just challenging even to watch. I'm like, "Oh my god, like a lot is happening on this court." And that affected Sabalenka greatly. Now, Coco on the other end of the net, on the other side of the net, she's locked in start to finish. Like Coco, sometimes she has this physical disposition that lets me know that she's not really in the match. Her
That's true.
shoulders are slumped. She has this sort of like moody facial expression. And this is not me coming from a judgmental place. Coco's 21. Like, of course, she'll have her moods on the court. That's fine and that's natural. But sometimes you can see it. This match, Homegirl was locked in. She got that new lash set and she was like, yeah, we're focused.
Yeah, if anyone is listening to this and knows who Coco's lash tech is, please let us know. Her game is fantastic. The lashes were just the icing on the cake that really like brought it home. But she scared the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Her demeanor scared me. I have never seen her locked in that much. Not even when she won the US Open in 2023.
I agree with that.
I think the circumstances of the match are very similar in that Sabalenka also crashed out in 2023 at the US Open final, but I think this was actually worse for Sabalenka because not only was she upset about the conditions, which I definitely understand, I think, and this is just a guess, I don't know that lady. I think she was upset and mentally thrown off by the fact that Coco was actually playing well. And I think in Sabalenka's mind, it was like, I cannot believe I'm being outplayed by this person.
I think you're right.
That's just a hypothesis. Don't sue me for libel, but that's what I'm going off of based off of just her vibe and her energy.
I think you're right, but I also think that Sabalenka saying that means that Sabalenka hasn't done her homework when it comes to Coco on the clay. Straight
That's
up.
true.
Coco won the juniors championship on clay
That's
at the
true.
French Open. She
That's
also made the semifinals a couple of years ago. Like, what are you saying right now?
That
And
is
it's not
true.
like Homegirl didn't just get to the final in Rome and Madrid.
You know what I think in part what it was is they did play Sabalenka and Goff did play the Madrid final and Sabalenka won that. So maybe her homework only goes as far back as that and not to Coco being a juniors champion and also making it to the French Open final
It
3
was
years ago. I think that's as far as Sabalenka's like memory recollection goes. She was probably like, "Well, I whooped her ass in Madrid. I cannot believe I'm not whooping her ass again. And then on top of this, y'all got me playing in the windy conditions. Are we in Paris or are we in Chicago, please?"
yeah, yeah, it's true. I just Sabalenka is quoted as saying, if Iga would win me another day, I think she would go out today and she would get the win. This was in the post-match interview. So essentially Sabalenka saying that if Iga had made it to the final and gone against Coco, Iga would be the champion. Well, that didn't happen.
To quote a great philosopher, I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know.
You got what you got. You get what you get and you don't get upset.
Yeah, you can't blame anybody else for 70 unforced errors. Girl, they were on your racket.
Baby.
And I think there's an unfairness, especially because Sabalenka didn't say those things when Mira beat her this year at Indian Wells, I think it was.
Yeah.
She didn't say any of that stuff.
Ye-
Where is this coming from? I was just very confused. I know, obviously, the French Open is a grand slam and you want it even more than maybe like a 1000 level, like Indian Wells, but you lost. You lost.
I think there's something that happens to Sabalenka, specifically when she plays Coco in a final, that doesn't happen to her otherwise. Now, I'll probably take this off the mic as to what I really think it is. I don't want the takes to be too hot, but the way she mentally crumbles as Coco locks in is simultaneously astounding and insulting at the same time, because she is genuinely surprised that Coco could be winning or that it could be close. And then she historically has blamed other things except Coco's ability to win when it matters most.
Yeah. And show up in the moments on the court during the match that matter the most. Coco was down a set. She just locked in way better than you did. How can you blame her for that? And I also think that the Iga comment is just incorrect because the last time they played, Coco beat her 6-1, 6-1.
Right. So again, it's kind of like Sabalenka will find any other reason why Coco can beat her except acknowledging that Coco is a great player and they are on the same level.
Right, right. And I just want to say, speaking of Coco, we made some comments in our previous episode. We basically shit on Coco's serve.
Now, hold on. Let me interrupt you and stop you right there. You're speaking French. She's on theme for this episode.
All right, I'll say it then. I shit on Coco's serve. I don't retract anything that I said. I don't, because that serve is wishy-washy. What I will say about the French Open, that serve got way better, especially in the final. And that is one of the things, her improvement when it comes to her serve is one of the things that got her the chip, undoubtedly, because Sabalenka had more double faults than Coco in the final. And fun fact, before Coco had the record for the most double faults in a season, that record belonged to Arina Sabalenka. So for me, it felt like it was just the torch was being passed back straight up. And I liked that. I think that Coco put in the work that she needed to put in. And because of that, I applaud her. I really do, because she made progress, like a leap of progress when it comes to her serve in a very short amount of time.
That's true. Yeah, and as someone who has seen basically every match Coco's done for the past year, it was the way she got that together was lightning speed relatively.
Yeah.
So I have to give credit where it's due. Like, shout out to her coach Matt Daly. He was looking like he is on America's Most Wanted list in the stand with the hat and the glasses on. He scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it
But
did give Unabomber.
it definitely did. Him and her whole team, because you can't think the coach without thinking everybody else on the team, have done a great job of just getting that serve to good enough, which is a great starting point for her. And I'm really excited to see what's to come with the serve.
I agree. Yeah, and her forehand was on her side on Saturday. Like, yeah, she just had everything going for her. She's a really great defensive player. That's never been a question. She just played better than Sabalenka. Sabalenka was doing way too much. And I think she expected to win way too much.
I think she did. You know what would make sense is if Sabalenka went in with the mindset that was like, I just beat the reigning queen of clay in the semis and I bageled her in the last set. I'm going to mop the floor with Coco Gauff because Iga's, they call her the queen of clay for a reason. Like, she has 4 of these trophies. So
yeah.
But if you go in with that mindset, honestly, before you even hit the court, you're likely to lose. Thinking that just because you beat someone who is an exceptional talent in the previous round, that makes the final easier because you think your biggest op is already done. I will say my hot take about it is that Sabalenka needs to add a woman to her team.
Ooh, I like that take. I do.
I think that sometimes I feel like Sabalenka, especially in those moments, like in the finals, where she gets frustrated and she needs help and she starts yelling at her box. She knows that she can yell at boys, those boys. I think having a woman's energy and how women and girls are also raised and conditioned to be mentally sharp and mentally, like girls are more conditioned to be what boys are conditioned to be physically. Like boys are conditioned to be physically great, and girls are more conditioned to be mentally great. But if we're taking that and basing it on how people just like operate, I think if she had a woman in her box, she would not be doing all that yelling. I think all that hooting and hollering. I think if she had a woman in her box, she would have someone whose job it is, in the way that her coach and her trainers have honed in on her physical abilities. I think a woman in her box could hone in on her mental abilities and get them under control. That's my hot take about it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that one, honestly.
And if she ever does get a woman in her box and what I say comes to fruition, she owe me a check. Let's leave Sabalenka in the dust.
Mhm.
Better yet, let's leave her in the red clay and discuss the winner chicken dinner.
Mhm.
Corey Coco Golf.
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to talk about Coco's manifestation note?
Yeah, it was really sweet, actually. She posted it on Instagram, and it's just this little white sheet of paper, and over on it, it says, I will win Roland Garros 2025, or I will win the French Open 2025. I thought it was just so sweet, and it worked.
Didn't
It worked. Coco actually was in her Instagram story. She got it from someone named Gabby Thomas, who I'm unfamiliar with, but
Gabby Thomas, the runner?
oh, the runner, yes.
The track
I was like,
star?
because
The
it just says
Olympian?
at Gabby Thomas, and I'm like, there's so
Oh.
many Gabbies that I'm thinking of in my head. Yes, that Gabby Thomas. So she, on a little white piece of paper, she writes, I will win French Open 2025 over and over and over again. And then at the bottom, it says, I will be the French Open 2025 champion twice. And it's like, it's so simple, but I really do think that manifestation works. And I know some people are like, nah, I don't care about that. I think manifestation works because it is a form of being delusional. And when your mind believes what you feed it. And if you're feeding your mind something like you are going to win a tournament, I feel like there are very few things that can stop you. And Serena Williams has said the same exact thing. And so I like this note. I think it was really sweet. And I think she should write another one for Wimbledon and the US Open.
No, I love that. Wait, so bring me back though. How does it relate to Gabby Thomas?
So she said that she got the idea from Gabby Thomas.
Oh, that's super sweet.
Yeah.
Also, shout out Gabby Thomas. I thought you were talking about a regular Gabby Thomas, not the Olympian, but shout out to her because see, poetry all around. So Gabby Thomas recently had like this scary interaction with a stalker.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
so like from one Black woman athlete who's recently been through something to still like inspire another Black woman athlete who in turn goes and wins the French Open. That's really poetic and beautiful. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Black girls forever.
And then I know you want to talk about this. This was one of the best moments for me personally. To see someone who enjoys sport in the crowd at the French Open is always just great. Like, you know, a bunch of celebrities show up for the finals, and that's cute and that's fine and that's fun and fair. But who is in the crowd at this year's French Open?
The Don Dada Spike Lee.
And I think Spike needed it because the Knicks didn't do so well in the playoffs.
Yeah. Listen, when it comes to Spike Lee's level of sport and his strength, okay, to support a team who's never brought a chip home, that is the Knicks, but he still shows up and he's still on the sidelines, and also he supports the Liberty, so the Liberty get him back when they bring home chips. But to see Spike Lee there coming off a devastating Eastern Conference Finals run where the Knicks didn't win. But to see him there, front and center, a black legend, a black icon, and outside of his blackness, just a legend and an icon. But I also want to be real and be like, him being black is important to me. So I will put that at the beginning of the statement. But I have to be completely honest. I was gone off an edible last night and I went on a rant about the importance of Spike being there and the importance of Coco embracing Spike first after she won.
Yeah.
I said out loud, so bringing it back to Black history and Black tennis history, I was like, that is historic, sorry. To watch one Black legend who's at the tail end of his career, because unfortunately people can't live forever, he recognized Coco's genius enough to show up and be front and center after already facing heartbreak.
That's true.
When it comes to the Knicks. For him to face that heartbreak and still show up and be like, I gotta get to this Coco match. I gotta be front and center for it. So for Spike, that icon, that legend, to embrace Coco, who's just stepping into her own history of being a Black icon and legend. It's like a passing of the torch for Black people. For Black people, like Spike's done so much. Coco is just starting, and undoubtedly she will do so much and influence our entire culture in a way that Spike has done before her. So for her to just recognize him, appreciate him being there, and for him to be so excited that she went right up to him and hugged him, and then he was like, "This is my wife." And him to be so excited and geeked by someone who's 21 years old doing her thing. I thought it was just so sweet and special.
Yeah, Spike being there was iconic, truly. And I hope he's at some other tournaments. I know he'll be at the US Open.
If anyone listens to this who knows him, Spike Lee, Mr. Spike Lee, it would be an incredible honor if you'd sponsor 2 Black girls to just be at the US Open. We don't even have to be front and center like you do. You could get us some mid tickets as long as they're free. But wouldn't it be a great donation, a great gift if you just bought us tickets?
Yeah, I mean, we could do coverage.
Right. Spike now? Spike, please.
Just something to think about. Just food for thought, Mr. Lee. Anywho, what should we talk about next?
I think you want to talk about this, and this is a great fact because I didn't realize this, but I think you want to talk about Carlos and Rafa, the parallels, the poetry of it all. If you listen to this podcast and you've counted the amount of times that I've said the word poetry, you have to take some sort of like shot. It could be water if you don't drink, but I think I'm up to number 4, so that's 4 shots.
Yeah, so once again, mini tennis historian in the making. Come on now.
Hello. It's her and David Foster Wallace. That's it.
The fact of the matter is, Carlos Alcaraz, the winner of this year's men's final at the French Open, was the exact same age that Rafa Nadal was when he won his 5th Grand Slam also. Almost to the day. There's like a day between them. But I think that is so, again, we talk about the poetry of this year's French Open.
Drink.
That's poetic. That's beautiful. He's destined. When I tell you, Carlos, his destiny, it's there. We can all see it. I hope that time does him well and that he doesn't have any major injuries that he has to overcome. I hope that his personal life doesn't cause him strife on the court. I mean, obviously, personal matters do come up when you're playing, but I hope that it's nothing dire because it's inevitable.
Yeah, dude, I fully agree. I think this men's final, and yeah, perfect segue to get into it. This men's final solidified GOAT status, GOAT in the making status. I'm still gagged, so it's hard to really form sentences around it. But Carlos Alcaraz, the number 2 ranked player in the world on the men's side, versus Yannick Sinner, the number 1 ranked men's player who did not drop a set throughout the entire French Open until it came down to the 3 sets that mattered the most.
Mm-hmm. Poetic.
You might have to you start because I need a second. I'm still processing, to be honest.
So, yeah, honestly, I'm still speechless about it. Sinner, and something in the scoring was also poetic too, because
Drink.
Sinner took the first set 6-4, and then he took the second one 7-6 because they went to a tiebreak. And then everybody's like, including me, I'm so sorry to Carlos, but like, we're talking about doing the impossible here. Carlos has never come back from a 2-set deficit, ever, ever, never. And Yannick Sinner, he played perfectly in this tournament, has not dropped a set. So obviously, for people to think, oh, this is Sinner's, I think that's a fair thought to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so the third set happens, and we're all expecting the inevitable, which is Sinner takes it. But Carlos finds a different gear, honestly. He was mentally locked in. And that is a tremendous victory for him because I have seen him mentally checked out.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know what we would get from him on Sunday. And he was just like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And showed up in that third set.
Yeah, I think his vibe throughout that entire match was okay, that's fine. In a way that I've never seen him do that before either. Like things will happen, he'll get broken, or like a person will take a set off of him and it sort of lingers in his mind.
Yeah.
But the way he was letting everything that didn't work roll off of his back and literally just moving on and focusing only on what's in front and not what's behind, that shit was scary to witness.
Yeah. Honestly, it was tremendous. I was like, what? To save 3 championship points, 3 of them. And Sinner, it was 40 love.
And what set was that? That was in the 3rd or 4th set.
It was the 4th one.
Mm-hmm.
But 40 love, championship point. At that point, I was like, I don't know. How does he get out of this? But he managed to crawl his way out. It was insane to see.
Yeah, like unbelievable. And I say it's scary because it is scary, again, the amount of self-belief that you have to have when the odds are that favored against you. Sinner had 3 opportunities.
3, the most championship points ever saved at a French Open.
3 opportunities to end the whole thing and take the trophy if he had just gotten the point. And for Carlos to lock in that much and deny him 3 points that could have been Carlos losing, I've never seen it before. And people always talk about, commentators always give Carlos shit for being smiley. That man did not smile. The way I don't know who specifically in his box he kept looking at. It was probably his coach, Juan Carlos, but he would do this thing where he would look up at that box and be dead ass serious and just nod his head in a way that I had never seen him do that before. Like no smile, no trace of a smile, just nodding his head like, I can do this. Like him and whoever he was looking at were both in on something that nobody else in that stadium or the people watching at home were in on, which is like, I'm down, but we both, you and me, both know what I'm capable of, and this is far from over.
Yeah, yeah. And Carlos does say that he always believes in himself, which I believe. I do think that he always believes in himself, but there are moments when he does have doubt. We saw it last year at the US Open. He was knocked out in the round of 64. This French Open, that was like there wasn't a doubt in his mind, not a speck of it. And that really is what made the third set incredible. For him to win that 6-4, and we're like, okay, he's in this. Like, this is a match now. This is not a slaughter. After that third set, they took it to the fourth one, a tie break, another tie break. And he takes the tie break, just like Yannick took the tie break in the second set. And now you have Yannick 6-4, 7-6. Carlos 6-4, 7-6. Fifth set, it's anybody's match at that point. It's a restart, honestly. It's like, okay, this could go either way. And I think one of the things that Carlos has that honestly Sinner doesn't have because he's been out for 3 months, Carlos has the endurance. Sinner, because he's perfect, he hasn't played any match that has gone past 3 sets. And we're talking about an excruciating 5-setter. I know he was cramping. I know it. There's a moment when he's like at the net, he loses a point and he hobbles to his seat. But you, at the same time, like, it's crushing for him.
Yes, because I will say I love Yannick. Y'all will never make me hate Yannick. I don't care about that 3-month suspension. He was innocent. Y'all will never make me hate him.
Yeah.
So I have to acknowledge how fucking well he played.
He did. He did.
Not only in this match, throughout the entire tournament. Not dropping a set. You went against Novak Djokovic and you didn't drop a set.
Basically retired Novak.
Yeah, actually, if we had to label a match as Novak's retirement match, like the one where you're like, oh, this is coming to an end soon, it would be that semifinal match.
100%. And then on top of retiring Novak, he literally retired Richard Gasquet. Like, literally.
Yeah.
It was Richard's last match. He said, this is going to be my last French Open. Who did he get? Sinner. Everybody was like, so sorry to see you go, Richard. There was no way he was taking even a set off Sinner.
Yeah. So, and I get Sinner's disappointment in the end, but Jesus, did he play so well.
He did.
Our Italian stallion.
Yeah, he really, really did. Honestly, I think what it really came down to, Carlos won by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
Not saying a lot. They played really well. And I think it just didn't feel like it was Sinner's time.
Yeah, and I would agree with that and also add on to it and say it didn't feel like it was Sinner's court. I don't care what happens to Carlos. Actually, I do care what happens to Carlos in other Grand Slams. But there is something about the symbolism around the French Open where I'm like, this is Carlos's court. Like, it has to do with Rafa Nadal having his tribute ceremony in an official way here this year, where this legend who's done things on this court that we have never seen before is being honored. And also a Spanish legend who is the idol of Carlos Alcaraz, a Spanish player. Like, your idol just had his tribute ceremony, and you are someone who's being regarded as one of the best current men's clay court players. And so it really feels like Rafa set the crown down and anyone had the chance to steal it, and Carlos did. And he's like,
Very
this
true.
is mine.
Very true. That's true. I like that. And that I think that's fair to everybody else too, because Casper Ruud has an opportunity. He's great on clay. So is Tsitsipas.
Mm-hmm.
But none of these other players, they just it's not theirs. Like it's not their time. I think Carlos has everything that he needs in terms of skill, and honestly on his good days in terms of mental to wear the crown.
Yeah, and you talk about like fate being written, like destiny being written. I think that is definitely written. You can't put the footprints of someone's idol as a plaque on a tennis court and expect him to lie down and go out in 3 straight sets. When y'all swept that red clay away and revealed the Nadal plaque, it was set in stone then, with Carlos in the stands wearing the clay shirt, just like everybody else, clapping it up while Nadal gets his flowers. That, whoever directs this movie, that's going to be a major scene in the movie. Putting his idol's feet, cementing them on that court, and then having him go out there and play the game of his life. You can't make that shit up.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Listen, I'll still be thinking about it for the rest of the day. Shout out to Coco and Carlos for just giving both of us what we needed. Because I will say, our previous episode did talk about how we were bored.
Yeah.
And boy, are we not bored now.
Yeah. The tennis world, the ATP and the WTA were like, we got you. Don't worry. I'm eating, honestly, off this for the next couple of months. I like Wimbledon, but I don't really care about the results, honestly, because I really got what I wanted at the French Open.
For real. Same. I agree with that completely. I do want to shout out 2 things. One, shout out to all the mothers of tennis players.
Yes.
The ones who were shown on camera being stressed.
Yes.
Taking walks throughout games, praying, just sitting meditatively with their eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly Virginia. I hate saying her name without the accent, but Carlos's mom, Virginia, and Coco's mom, Candy. Shout out to them. And also Yannick's mom.
Yeah.
She was so stressed. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
Like, to see your baby like up on the grandest stage, like giving it his all, that's stressful. They should start a support group.
They should.
The SMC, the Stressed Moms Club.
Or I was going to say a podcast. I would listen to that.
That would be, let's produce it. We have $5 in the dream. Let's see what we can make shake.
What else? You said you had 2.
Yes, thank you. This is my closer. In the realm of passing on torches, I have never mentioned it on this podcast, but I was obsessed with Serena and Roger as a kid, not only as individual players, but as like 2 people, a woman and a man, who are basically equivalents of each other. And my closer for this episode is that Coco and Carlos are my new Serena and Roger, meaning they are genuine friends who recognize the greatness in each other, and that's really beautiful to see.
I like that. I think that's wholly accurate. Yeah.
I also thought it was very nice that Coco tweeted after Carlos won. And her tweet basically said they had to run the Beijing Open back because Coco and Carlos both won the Beijing Open last year. And now look at them getting the W at the French Open, the clay. Carlos's best surface, even though he's good on all surfaces, but his best and his favorite. And Coco's favorite now. and maybe best. I think she says she likes hard court, but people in the tennis world are telling her that that clay is her
You're
is
the
her
new queen of
surface.
the clay. I
Yeah.
want Carlos to like hard court. It's the longest portion of the season.
I know, and he needs to like hard court in order to take the Australian Open, which is the only one he doesn't have.
Yeah, he'll get there. He'll get there slow and steady. And that's not to say that he's not good on hard court, you
He's
know,
great.
but it's his weakest surface for sure.
Yeah. Just to say this out loud, thank you to Coco, Carlos, Yannick, and Arena, despite her bad attitude, for really. I didn't need a reminder, but it was nice to have a reminder why I love this sport so much. That both of those finals were truly an honor to watch. And I know that they will shepherd in more people to watch tennis and take an interest in it. And that's honestly one of the best things that came from this, besides both of my favorites hoisting the trophy up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think tournaments like this year's French Open are the types of tournaments that will put tennis on the map even more.
Yeah. And so for that reason, you should tell your friends about this podcast, because we started at the bottom talking about the tennis basics, and we'll hold y'all's hand along the ride as we go through everything that tennis has to offer. So tell your friends, and we're really grateful that y'all listen and enjoy this podcast.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like honestly, we would talk regardless, but it's so nice to like have people who are also interested in the sport and interested in our hot takes, our bad takes, and our good takes.
Yeah. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you are listening to this, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it. We're gonna take a break. We always take a break. We break more than we actually do the podcast, but
We will be back for Wimbledon though.
We'll be back for Wimbledon,
which is in 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness, that's so soon. We're gonna try and do a mid-tournament podcast episode and then a post-tournament podcast episode. Don't hold your breath on that though, because life is life. But this tournament just reminded me about why I love this sport and why this podcast is so important to me. So hopefully we can get those 2 episodes done and have them out to y'all so that y'all can enjoy them.
Yeah. We'll try our hardest though.
In the meantime, check us out on TikTok. We post occasionally. And at some point we should start like a WhatsApp of fan listeners and just talk about tennis there.
That could be cute.
Yeah.
I'm not tech savvy. I did not even know that was a thing. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned for what's next to come with us. And stay tuned for the next Grand Slam, which is Wimbledon, the all-white one, baby.
Yeah, should be good.
Until then, peace out, Girl Scouts.
Love you. Bye.